In the next couple of days, it's going to go 0 degrees. Got one on this side and one on the other side. We have a solution. Oh, it's heavy.
We left the radiator on the minimum setting.
Maybe even sabotage. Hi and welcome back to the garden. We normally do a bit of videoing on the weekend, but as it's such a nice day and we've got some jobs to do on a weekday, we thought we'd bring you along with us to do those. So today what we've got to do is harvest these radishes, which have been sat in the ground for a little while, and it's time to get them out. And what we really want to do is replace those with a couple of tomatoes. And as you can see, you've got a new addition to the greenhouse as well. Daddy put these shelves up a couple of days ago. These shelves were another freebie from our scraps pile. The actual shelf itself is some cladding from when we did up our bathroom quite a few years ago. But obviously we've still got those scraps thanks to Danny. And we have some shelf brackets which are also just hanging around the house, as you do. So we've got one on this side and one on the other side, which has added lots of growing space for more seedlings to be started, more marigolds, some onions. And then we've got our peppers here, which need repotting because they've stopped growing. We think they just need to go into bigger pots. I'm getting a bit worried about what's in the greenhouse at the moment because in the next couple of days it's going to go to, I think, 0 degrees. But we have a solution. Oh, it's heavy. We've got a heater that we normally use in our house, which we're going to put on, you know, a few hours of the night, which would hopefully keep the greenhouse from freezing. First harvest of the year, we've got our radishes, and the leaves are just going to go straight in the compost. And the next thing we're going to do is take out these beetroots. We don't actually have any beetroots yet, but as I said, we want to put the tomatoes in, and it's not been wasted. We've been using the leaves for salad. So that's exactly what we'll do with these as well. So I'll just get them out as well. Nothing. No beetroot. It's fine. I'll have it for lunch anyway. Got some tomatoes doing quite well in here as well. It's obviously been warm. I think our greenhouse at the moment is 23 degrees. So we've got a little thermometer in there. Space is all ready. So we've got these 2 tomato plants that we're going to pop in the space. And I think we're going to put them a little bit further towards the back of the greenhouse so we can put marigolds and herbs and all sorts of other things in here, because apparently that's good for tomatoes in terms of companion planting.
The only thing it might be an issue is this shelf over here. So if the tomato plants get a bit too tall, that might be a problem, but I don't think we're going to need those for much longer. Whilst these are ready to be potted on, the shelf can actually be removed. I'm just gonna, I did a little bit already, but I'm just gonna water the soil a little bit just so it's easier to dig. And I plan to risk it and plant the tomatoes super deep. So as deep as like here. So I'm gonna remove all these leaves and I'm gonna literally leave this on top of the soil. The only thing, another thing we're just gonna do is put these crushed up eggshells, which we've dried in the oven, and that's gonna go with the roots of the tomato plants to provide nutrients. And as we don't have any more of those stakes, as I dig the hole, I'm just gonna put this string now so it provides support, and I'm just gonna trail the plant onto the string. But first, I need to dig a hole. So I'm just putting the pot in the hole just to see how deep it's gonna go. So I'm gonna remove all the leaves that are gonna go under the ground, even this one. And I think I'm gonna bury it about here. So it's quite drastic, but I think it makes a stronger plant because all these hairs are actually gonna turn into roots. And to get it out, just turn it upside down, squeeze the pot and ease it out. So, small handful of eggshells and some of the string, which I'm probably going to tie somewhere up here. And to make sure that it's secure, I'm just putting it below the roots and then I'm going to sit the roots on top with one single twist around the stem. It didn't go as deep as I thought it would be, but that's fine. I'll just build it up on the sides like this maybe. Okay, that's one tomato, and the other one is just going to go over here, which I think is adequate spacing, but it's the space that we have, so we just need to make it work. Good soup. Good soup. To be fair, I was worried about the shelves being in the way, but if we trail on this string, it's missing the shelf entirely. So that's one of each yellow pear and a marmite tomato in the ground. We're going to put one more here, somewhere behind me, but before that, we need to remove all these spare cherry tomato plants. And we noticed that some of them are flowering already. And what I've been doing, I just pinch the flowers off, because we don't want them producing tomatoes just yet. I mean, today is 17th of April. So by pinching the flowers off, that forces the plant to grow taller and stronger, rather than focusing all the energy into producing fruit. And that means that it's going to produce more fruit later on in the season. In that corner and somewhere here, we're thinking of putting a couple of melons and see what happens if they grow. I mean, it is way too cold for melons, like melons, courgettes and cucumbers. They're supposedly not meant to go out in the garden until the second week of May, or until the nighttime temperatures don't drop below 10 degrees. But with the radiator in the greenhouse, we are hoping to maintain that kind of 8 to 10 degrees centigrade. So that's the last of our tomato plants in the ground now. And by each plant, we put a small marigold right next to it. That's obviously companion planting and keeping all the bad pests away, pest control. And also we did exactly the same for each other tomato plant. So we even have two on each side, one over here. This one is almost flowering. They all have like flower buds. This one's got 3, 4, and these are the ones that we grow from seed. So they're doing pretty good. We just spotted this loose one, so we need to find a home for this one, but we're just going to put it at the base of the tomato plant. And now I'm just thinking if we should put the melons in the ground, or is it too early? I say we put them in the ground, and if they die, we can start some new seeds just in case.
If he dies, he dies.
If he dies, he dies.
And we've got the radiator to hopefully help, so
yeah,
fingers crossed.
2 melons in the ground, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Right, let's do it. Just shift all these somewhere.
Yeah.
And we're gonna put some melons in. Juicy melons.
Juicy. Whilst Danny's digging the hole for the 2 melons, I'll show you around outside the greenhouse about how things are doing out here. We were thinking of planting some things outside, but because it's going to be maybe potential frost, we're going to hold fire until next week. Here up on this side, we've got some peas growing, which I sowed straight in the ground, and they seem to be doing really well. There's a random gap that I could fill with more pea seeds. And then up towards this end, we've got peas that we started inside and then transplanted, and they don't seem to be doing as well. We've got a rogue 1, 2, which are doing really well, but the others don't really seem to have grown much. Potentially because we maybe damaged the roots because when we were transplanting them, or maybe the slugs are getting to them, because I can see this one's actually been eaten quite a lot, so who knows. And considering the amount of spinach we sowed below it, we actually have hardly any that actually germinated, whether it's because it's been cold or the seeds were no good. I'm not sure, but that hasn't done too well, so we'll see how it goes and then maybe just replace it with something else. Here in the shady corner, I've got some broccoli that's been in the ground maybe a month or more now, and it's looking really good. Even the slugs haven't gotten to it too bad, so I'm feeling hopeful for these. And the salad that we planted below it seems to be doing okay as well. And here in this corner I've got the kale, which Danny will be pleased to hear that it's not doing so well. It's not really growing, so potentially slug damage, transplant damage, or maybe even sabotage. And these are our lovely strawberry towers, and they seem to be also doing really well. Lots of new growth in there, so they've not died, so we've won. And you watch me sow some green things in these tubs, and I've absolutely no idea what they were, but they've germinated. I have a feeling it's either, this one's a kale and pak choi, but whichever way I put the tub round, it's either kale or pak choi.
And our last job for tonight before we leave the greenhouse is to set up our radiator. As it's meant to go below freezing outside, we have it plugged into a smart plug, and we're going to try to maintain a temperature of about 7 to 8 degrees centigrade, so that should be plenty good enough for the tomato plants, but we're trying to keep the melon plants happy, as it's not meant to go below 10 for them, so we're just going to see if they're going to suffer too much. Morning everyone, I thought I'd give you a quick update on the radiator situation in the greenhouse. Just sat in here having my morning coffee with an outside temperature of 0, but due to current wind condition it feels like -2. So last night, as you saw, we left the radiator on the minimum setting and we had it working for about 5 hours, and the current temperature is 10.5 degrees, which is pretty good. So hopefully our melons are not going to take any damage from the cold weather. And that's it for now. I'm off to work, and we'll catch with you later on when we're going to repot the peppers. Done with work for now. It's a few hours later and we're back in our happy place where the temperature is considerably different from this morning. It's a whopping 22.5 degrees. It was actually up to 24, but we've left the door open and the vent just so it doesn't get too much of a fluctuation between morning and night. So today we're just going to plant the peppers like we said yesterday.
We've just come out to fill up the big pots to pot our peppers into. We're going to put some of that compost we bought with a bit of manure, and it's actually a bit cold out here, so the jumpers are back on. So once the pots are filled up, we're getting back in the greenhouse to repot them on.
That's all the containers filled up. Now we're just going to water them well and put the peppers in.
Here we've got our peppers that we've been growing over the past few weeks. They're getting reasonably big now, and we've got obviously more peppers than pots, so we're going to pick the best 4 and put them in and see how they do. But before that, I'm going to give the pots a good soak because the compost is quite dry. This one, potentially. One more. Have we got any more? Is this it?
I think there's
Which
one
one's
more
the best
somewhere
one?
there. There's some there as well. Have a look at this one there.
That one looks good.
Oh yeah. That's pretty good actually.
So we've selected our 4 best ones, what we think are our best ones, and they're going in the pots. We're not sure if there's any special technique to potting on peppers. We've read some contradictory advice online as to whether to plant them as they are in the ground or plant them deep up to or even above their first seed leaves. We did an experiment with when we potted them on the first time, and they seem to have both turned out fine, so who knows if there's a better way of doing it. So I'm just going to squeeze around the pot, turn it upside down, nice and careful, and just eke it out. Looks like it's got some nice strong roots, so hopefully that means a healthy plant. That's the peppers all done, and we're going to move a couple onto the table, but first we need to make a bit of space. So we're going to probably plant most of these herbs in the greenhouse and then probably ditch these tomatoes, sadly. I don't know if you can actually see on the stem. We found out that they've potentially got stem rot and they can't be saved. So they're going to go, but it's fine because we've got a couple in the ground and we started some new seeds about 2 or 3 weeks ago, which are our backups if all else fails. RIP tomatoes. Later, beep beep.
I hope that table can take all the weight. So that's the peppers in there. Forever home, we're probably going to leave them in the greenhouse on the table for the entire growing season. To make space on the table, we just had to shift a few of the things that were on here. Joanna told you about the tomatoes, so we got rid of those. We had a lot of herbs here, coriander and basil, and what we've done is just put them, just kind of like dock them on random spots throughout the raised beds in the greenhouse. So if we start from here, we have a basil we're about to put in the ground. We're just kind of placing them on random spots, and we decided not to put anything too close to the decking board because we use it for a bench and for a seating area, so we don't want to damage anything. So we're just kind of moving everything towards the back. So we have a coriander plant here, we have a basil, another basil, more coriander and more basil, and we're just going to put all these marigolds that we have here and here as well, and we're just going to scatter them all over completely randomly, no plan, and the 2 peppers that we put here earlier as well.
That'll be it from us this week. If you like this video, maybe you'll like these too. See you next time.